Lowry with Club Fantasci. We are here at the fabulous Rocketown in downtown Nashville, which is a youth center. Rick is here to help me do some games with the kids. But we're going to take a quick minute and talk about your new company, Flying Lemur Games.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. We just announced it, went live on the internet yesterday, November 1st, and called Flying Lemur Games. Flying Lemur, my partner, Misha Harris, who I worked with at another company before this, he and I we're kind of going over some names. This is something I'm asked about all the time anyway. So I was going over a number of different names of what we could do, and we kind of went with the animal theme for whatever reason. But we went through a whole bunch of different animals, and we came upon this beast called a flying lemur, which isn't a lemur, and it doesn't fly. But it's like a flying squirrel that just kind of glides around, and we just said, you know, this is kind of catchy, and then we started playing around Flying Lemur Game Studio. Oh, FLGS, this is perfect. So, and they are kind of cute. They're a little bat-like in some ways, and if you like that, they're cute bat-like. So they're the fox bat.
So,
cute.
What was the idea? I mean, what was the idea for you to actually venture into publishing games yourself?
Well, actually, I was asked and Misha was asked, so both of us collectively were asked by designers that if we ever wanted to start a company, they'd be very interested in going with us. We both have a lot of experience in the industry. Misha is extremely good at building relationships overseas. And what we saw was the need to bring games over here. And we decided, okay, what we're going to do is initially start with the licensing to do the English language version of a lot of games, or hopefully a lot of games that wouldn't normally get over here and get to our gaming groups. Misha started talking with a few of the designers over there, and we have a couple really big name ones that I really can't talk about yet, but some very big name designers that it looks like we are going to bring into the fold and probably bring some of their games over. So
haven't been in the industry for a while now. You've seen how it all goes and runs. Mm-hmm. What kind of insanity does it take to start your own company?
I'm certifiable, I think. I definitely am certifiable. It takes a lot of insanity to do it. I think you've got to have at least a sense of reality about it. I don't expect this to make millions and millions of dollars. It's something that we love. It's a labor of love more than anything else. So we know the pitfalls. We've seen the pitfalls. We've seen companies come and go. We've seen the problems that even the most established of companies have. So we know we're going to take it slow. We're going to take it methodically. And what we want to be in there is for the long haul, rather than we want to try and make this big splash. We want to try and get in there, build up, do what we need to do, which is why we want to go with the licensing rather than try to do our own games right now, in a lot of ways.
So the titles you're looking at, they're already established overseas. Mm-hmm. They just haven't reached the American market.
Right. Or they haven't had the exposure in the American market. It's sort of like this game, which is the first one that we're bringing out, which is North American Railways. This is, as you can see, a small box game by Peer Sylvester. It's been out for a year. It was introduced at Essen last year. It's an 18xx game, which means that it's a fairly heavy train simulation game, but with a difference. It plays in about 45 minutes to an hour. There's a lot of interaction, but the rules can be explained in about 5 minutes. People can get into the game very quickly. I will admit, it's not the prettiest game. It's a bunch of cards laid out on the table, but there is so much thought that goes into every move you make that we felt this was going to be a perfect game to start us.
So 8-10 years ago, we all would have bought that game.
Mm-hmm.
Because because it was always about the game, not so much about the chrome.
Right.
Now it's all about the chrome, right?
Right.
So how do you tackle that in this newer market, and especially one that your game has a shelf life of 30 to 90 days?
Exactly.
Right. How do you
Exactly.
make that happen? Something that's not.
In this case, it really is getting it out to the public and letting them see it. I'm scheduled to be at Board Game Geek Con now, and I'm going to demo it there every night. It's one of those that I think you have to get people in there, and they have to sit down and they have to experience it. And I think that's something that we're missing in this day and age. People, like you said, are looking for the chrome. So they get there, they go, ooh, look at all these cool minis, look at all these things, and I didn't mean to use somebody's name, but look at all these nifty minis. Look at all this big board, it's just got hundreds and hundreds of pieces, and they sit down and go, well, it really wasn't worth everything that I've gone through to even set this thing up, let alone play it for 2-3 hours. People are looking for shorter games. They're looking for things that can set up very easily. This sets up in about 2 minutes. So we think that with the game experience, that if you have a game that has longevity and has some legs to it, it's going to surpass just that bling. That's the common thing this day.
Now, there's a whole subset of gamers that love trading games.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen a whole lot of trading games coming out
Yeah.
lately, right? So that might be a benefit. But what is it about trade games, do you think, that actually has that fan base? That goes way back.
It goes way back.
Rail Baron and all those other games.
Yeah, it goes way back, and I think it's kind of a reminiscent type thing. We all grew up with westerns. We all grew up with things where you're seeing the train, and there's a whole idea of hobos and being able to get out there and just escape and just do your own thing traveling down the rails. So I think that adds something to it and has caught the attention of a lot of people. I think what this game does, while it's an economic-based one, and you're a rail baron, and it's taking place in the 19th century as the trains are expanding, instead of having to worry about placing pieces and doing all that, you're working the economics of it. And what's different about it is normally in a game you have your money and you pay to build your rail lines. Well, here you're wanting to invest in as many rail lines as you possibly can. There are 5 of them, so you want to invest as easily as thoroughly as you can. But when you pay for investing, money goes into that rail line. And when you buy the expansions to get to different cities, you have to pay from that rail line's coffers, not from your hand. Then because of the fact that you've built this rail line, you get money back because of the money you invested, and everybody who's invested in that same rail line also gets money for it. So you are competing to build your empire while everybody else is buying the same things you are.
Right.
So it makes it kind of interesting and a little bit different.
So what is the planned release date for this?
Planned release date is going to be the end of the first quarter of next year. I'm working very hard because it's very color centric. We are working out the way now to make it as colorblind friendly as possible. Very aware, the play groups that I'm in here in town, I have 3 or 4 people that are colorblind, so I'm very aware of the need to make this colorblind friendly. So we're working out those little details. We'll go into production, probably going to update a couple components and upgrade them a little bit, like the paper money, maybe make them more card stock than paper stock. So end of first quarter.
Is it going to be Kickstarted or?
No, it is going to come straight here. Where we've already gotten a number of partnerships for distribution. So the game will start coming out, and it'll be available end of April.
So for those people who are not trained gamers, aside from this title, what are 3 titles that they should check out to kind of get a feel for train games before this one comes out?
Feel for train games? Well, of course, you can't do anything without Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride is the ultimate. If you want to get into some heavier ones, Railburn, as you had mentioned, if you can find a copy of it, is okay. Well, they'll all come over to your house then and play. And then I think also. And of course, now I've just lost the title to it. The Eagle Griffin game, Age of Steam, is a perfect one to go with as well. That takes you from the easy all the way through the point of, okay, let's look at the economics. Let's see what you have to do this, which will match in perfectly with this.
So what is the draw for you personally, not speaking for your partner, but personally, to actually be a publisher? What is it about it to you that makes you want to do this?
Natural progression in some ways. I think my history is that I've built a number of different companies, sold them, and made some nice profits off of them over the years. But then I got into, because I've been a gamer since the 70s, I got into learning the game industry by moving through different companies and doing all that. This felt like the time for me to go back and go, okay, I have a need inside of me to build something, and the only way it's going to happen is if I do it, and along with my partner, of course. So it's filling maybe a little hole that hasn't been fulfilled over the number of years that I've worked in the industry and had to hold back in some ways.
With I don't know how to put it, it doesn't fit that way for everybody, but with the amount of games coming out today, with the amount of publishers there are today, and with the amount of backlash from consumers that are out there today online, what are the pros and cons of being a publisher?
It's, you're taking your life in your hands in some ways. I think you have, how we see ourselves maybe a little bit different is that both Misha and I have been in the industry and we're known a little bit, at least in certain circles. That and 95 cents will get me a cup of coffee at any restaurant out there. But we have a background in it, so we're not going in there as an unknown trying to publish a game. I think that we see all these games being published, and Kickstarter has been wonderful for that, and also it's been the bane for that, in that these games sound great, but they don't have legs, they don't have a game to them, and people have gotten burned. I've gotten burned from backing some of the games. But by having a gamer, by having somebody who's been in the industry coming in, and we're not using Kickstarter initially, we might down the road if we have a game that we think needs to be blinged out a little bit. But we're coming in with our eyes wide open. We're coming in with the knowledge of what is needed to make a game that people are going to like, I hope. We're taking our lives in our hands, and there's a bit of fear in doing this, but I think we have our ducks in a row enough that we have maybe a little bit better than 50-50 chance of making this go.
So, based on the establishment of the careers versus the establishment of the company, we're hoping there's enough wisdom to be able to pick the right games and get them out there into the hand.
If gray is wisdom, I am so smart, it's ridiculous.
All right, so for those watching, where can they find out more about what's going on with you guys?
You can go to FlyingLemurGames.com. We're also on Facebook, Flying Lemur Game Studio. And then we're also on Twitter at Flying Lemur Game. So,
It is. Don't need
Yep.
an Instagram yet because there's nothing to take pictures of.
well, I've got Instagram too, but there's 4 pictures up there right now. So yeah. But that'll happen, and that's Flying Lemur Games. So, yep.
There you go.
Yep.
All right, folks. That's Rick Schrand with Flying Lemur Games. I'm David Lowry with Club Fantasci. Thank you for watching. Make sure you check them out and support. We'll be talking to you again soon.
Thank you, David.